What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily. So if you're unfamiliar with rugged smartphones, I'm about to show you one of the most ridiculous ones available right now. This is the brand new B2 Ultra. It's a practically indestructible Android phone, powered by a battery that's 3 times the size of the one that's in your current phone, and it has all the specs and features you'd normally want, like a 200 megapixel camera and high refresh rate display, along with a few extra things that make this phone even more unique. Now, before we get into all that, I want to show you the unboxing experience because it's unlike most other smartphones nowadays too, in that you actually get a whole bunch of accessories and stuff inside. Sliding off the lid of this really cool package, the first thing you see is the phone itself, alongside a small packet of stuff. There's a warranty card, an instruction manual if you need it. Digging a little deeper, you also get both a wall plug and a USB-C cable for charging, and super nice ones at that. The charger is a 65-watt GAN USB-C plug, and the cable is a thick braided nylon with metal USB-C ends, a very high quality and tough cable to match the ruggedness of the phone. So here is the B2 Ultra, of course, and one more thing, you also actually get a tempered glass screen protector and a couple cleaning wipes to help you install it. So really great full suite of essential accessories here, all included in the box. With all that stuff out of the way, here is the B2 Ultra. And again, if you're unfamiliar with these rugged smartphones, this thing might look a bit overwhelming, but its design and form factor serve a pretty important purpose: durability. From the front, you can see that the B2 Ultra is a fairly large 6.8-inch smartphone. That's the screen size corner to corner, and obviously the display is framed by some thicker black borders all around. Much of that thickness, though, is actually the tough and rugged rubber edges of the phone itself. It's sort of the equivalent of a rugged case, but this is all phone, and the extra thick corners are there to fully protect the device in the event of a drop. In fact, the whole frame of the phone is a combination of rubber and metal. The side rails are a thick metal material with some divots for added grip, and there's even a 12 centimeter or about 4.5-inch printed and marked ruler for measurements on each side. The back of the phone is really interesting. It's a Gorilla Glass housing over this futuristic circuit board looking design, and you'll notice 2 big circles. One is the rear camera setup, of course. The other is a 1-inch fully customizable display. And this is something I've never really seen before. It's not a touch screen, but instead you sort of wave your hand in front of it and it flips through different clocks and other screen modes that you can change up. There's maybe a dozen different clock faces and other information screens you can switch between. You'll see notifications and even phone calls. Aside from all the rugged features, it's probably one of the other more unique aspects of the B2 Ultra. Taking a quick look around, on the left side you've got your SIM and SD card tray, and this is actually easily removable. You can just pull it out with your fingernail basically, and this is great for quickly swapping SIMs or exchanging SD cards, but it's still fully water and dust resistant. Below that is a customizable shortcut key that you can set up to do a myriad of things. On the right, familiar volume buttons and your power button / fingerprint sensor. This was easy to set up, it seems perfectly fast, no issues with waking or unlocking the phone at all. At the bottom, you've got your USB-C port for charging, the bottom speaker there, and a pass-through hole at the corner that you can use to string up a wrist strap if you happen to take this phone on more extreme adventures, like underwater, for example. There's your selfie camera front and center as well, below the earpiece, and around back, that 200 megapixel camera setup that I'll talk more about in just a second. Now, obviously, this being a rugged phone, it also has more extreme durability ratings. It's IP68 water and dust resistant. It's also IP69K certified, which provides protection against high temperatures and high pressure water environments. So theoretically, it could survive in as deep as 6 meters of water for 24 minutes. And it's 810G military certified, which means it can handle shocks, drops, vibration, heat, cold, humidity, and so much more. There's 29 different durability tests it goes through just to get that certification alone. And you could toss it from nearly 2 meters up on hard pavements and it would be totally fine. That's the big idea with a rugged phone like this. It's made for outdoor adventures in all environments: hiking, biking, rock climbing, swimming, camping, even construction work or other harsh outdoor environments. It's built to last through just about anything any situation. Of course, the B2 Ultra is still a phone, and fortunately its other specs are just as solid as its build. The big 6.8-inch display is a full HD 2460 by 1080 resolution IPS TFT panel, packing in 405 pixels per inch. On a screen this big, that resolution is perfectly fine, and even up close, your videos, text, and everything else you're going to look at is plenty sharp. It's also a 120Hz high refresh rate display, an adaptive one, so you can set it to the full 120Hz if you want, or 60 or 90, or let the phone change the refresh rate automatically to maximize performance. But with the 120Hz enabled, you get that fast and fluid feel that mimics what you'd experience on even a flagship phone. The LCD panel itself is also quite good for what it is. You'll get about 520 nits of peak brightness and a vivid color profile that does make everything on screen look a little more punchy and saturated. I've certainly seen dimmer, duller displays on more expensive phones than this, so I can't really complain. And both the front and rear are covered in Gorilla Glass 5, which helps limit glare and increase durability. I think for the viewing experience as a whole, this is a solid set of specs for a phone like this. Also, while this phone unfortunately does not have a dual speaker setup for out loud listening, the single bottom speaker is probably one of the loudest ones I've ever heard. Seriously, here's a quick sound sample so you can get an idea. Powering this phone is a decent set of internals led by the MediaTek Helio G99 processor, a one-year-old mid-tier 8-core chipset paired to 12 gigabytes of RAM, which is just crazy. Even $1,000 Samsung flagships don't get that anymore, and 256 gigabytes of onboard storage with that option to pop in an SD card. Here are the Geekbench numbers for those of you who like to keep score. Now, one other thing I really like about this phone is you get that absolutely bare bones Android experience that I think also boosts the performance experience just a little bit. It ships with Android 13, and outside of like 2 or 3 unfamiliar apps and an octangle icon pack, there's no other bloatware, skins, themes, or other garbage pre-installed on this phone. So what you get is the clean and simple Google experience if you want, or the option to fully customize the OS to your liking without anything standing in your way. And this phone honestly is powered by a tried and true mid-level processor with just an obscene amount of RAM, so it feels fast and responsive even for being a sub $300 device. You guys know I've tried similar budget devices from Motorola, Poco, even Samsung, and performance in this price range is sometimes an issue, but I think the V2 Ultra punches a little higher than its price point. The other thing powering this phone is a massive battery, and that was probably obvious just based on the phone's thickness, but actually this is the thinnest phone with a 15,000 milliamp battery built in. If you think about it, that's 3 times the battery size of a Samsung A series device, but this phone is not even twice as thick. It's comparable to a phone plus a battery pack or a phone plus an OtterBox case. But with all that power, you can expect at least 3 full days of use on a single charge under normal usage, and probably even more than that if you don't use your phone a ton. That means you could have a weekend camping trip without ever plugging this phone in. And when you do, you've got 65-watt fast charging support, so you could go from 0 to 100% in just a couple of hours, even with that massive size battery. Big batteries like the one in this phone are just one of the standout features for rugged smartphones, and this one packs a massive one in a relatively slim form factor, all things considered. Finally, the rear camera setup on this phone is also pretty unique. The main lens is a 200 megapixel shooter. There's a secondary 64 megapixel lens that has some added functionality I'll talk about in a second, 3 LED flashlights and 2 infrared lights, and the selfie camera is a pretty respectable 32 megapixel lens itself. Now, inside the camera app, you'll of course see a lot of the basic stuff, but this phone also has additional camera features specific to its rugged distinction. So underwater mode, for example, where you can use the physical hardware buttons to snap pics and videos underwater since the phone is very water resistant. There's a dedicated night vision camera, which is pretty cool too, and a great combination of regular shooting modes like night mode, portrait, slow-mo, and pro controls, as well as some additional settings. As far as the real world results, the couple of sample pictures I did take with this phone just out of the box were pretty good. Lots of detail, decent punchy colors. It's still a budget camera for sure, but the regular camera features combined with those additional rugged focused add-ons give you a lot more to work with in some very unique situations. All in all, the V2 Ultra is really a pretty interesting rugged smartphone with a handful of features you wouldn't otherwise see on any other devices that I know of. The 15,000 milliamp battery alone is pretty ridiculous. The random rear display is a quirky little add-on. Obviously, the drop in water resistance ratings make this phone incredibly durable, and that's probably the primary reason someone would consider it. But the rest of the specs, especially just general performance and the Android experience, finish off a relatively well-rounded mid-range phone that could be a pretty enticing option for well under $300. But what do you guys think about these rugged smartphones? What would you use one for? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video though. Be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.